Tēnā koutou katoa. Welcome everybody to our Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Broadcast on the 19th of July 2024. We'll start with a karakia. Ngeno tātou, pauhihiri, paurarama, pau te whakairo, pau te tangata, pau o te aroha te pauhihiri nei a tātou, mauri ora ki a tātou, haumi e hui e, tai. Kia ora everybody, welcome to members of the public who are here to join us this morning. Just a couple of notices before we take apologies. I just want to acknowledge our new Krani Mama in the room, remember by Tanya Whinia, who has a new pipi, Alicia Maiorangi. Congratulations. Nana? Rani Mama. Rani Mama. Rani Mama. And then at the other spectrum of life, just some thoughts and prayers to the Beasley whānau, a local whānau who have been in Kaikohe since 1964 anyway, I know that, but pre-1964 I know. And that's the whānau Beasley, Bully Beasley, or Christopher Bernard Beasley is his name, who sadly passed away this week. And Bully is a man that's been in our community for a long, long time and strong connections to Kaikohe, but also to the Hokianga and to Ohawai. So deepest sympathy to the Beasley family for their great loss. Last week of the school holidays, so I hope everybody's out there looking for the good specials for lunches for the tamariki heading back to school on Monday. And just a big thank you to our FNDC library staff who have publicised lots of different activities and programs for tamariki and rangatahi in our area, and I know that lots of children have been participating in the activities and programs that they've been provided. So a big mahi to the staff over at the Library Square, and in relation to that too, it's been really awesome to see the final demolition stages or the starting of the demolition of the old Peterson's building. And I know that some people have been around for a long, long time. That discussion happened, what was it, Matua Babe? Did we say 20 plus years?
2015, 2009. It was all of Sally's term.
Sally Macaulay. Whoop, Sally Macaulay.
Yes.
So finally, that work has started. So thank you to all the people who have had the continued patience over that project happening. So really cool to see that getting going. Just one thing that I'll mention, I had someone phone me last night and noticed that half the town's lighting, though, has been affected perhaps from that demolition. So that'll be something that I'll RFS later. So again, welcome to everybody here, and to those who are online. We have Member McVeigh, who's in Auckland currently, Member Edmonds, who is also online with us. None others, eh? Okay. All right, so I'll call for apologies. Do we have any apologies? We can just note that. Okay, we'll note Member McVeigh and Member Edmonds are online with us. Okay, so we'll start with public forum, and just reminding our public who are speaking today and anybody that is here to speak on their application with the expectations that you have 5 minutes to speak about what we're here to speak about, and then if we have any questions, if you don't use up your 5 minutes and we've got any questions, then we may ask you questions following your comment. So, Mr. Riley. Welcome to the stage, Mr. Riley. You can sit down there or stand, whatever you choose. And Mr. Riley's here to talk to us about police presence for Kaikohe.
That subject is on behalf of a lady that approached me the other day because of trouble with some hoons that annoyed her. She rang the police station, was put on the Kerry, and shoved further from Kerry to Whangarei. It's not good enough. And we need a physical police presence in Kaikohe all the time. Don't go to somebody else. Our problems, we can deal with ourselves if we've got the resources to back it up. The other thing that just occurred to me, if I might mention that, Kaikohe is in a unique position to create itself as a tourist attraction. And the key thing to that is the Pioneer Village. We can add to it. And the purpose behind that is that the cruise ships that come into Pai here often have passengers there that want to fill in the day, and there's not much to do. But if we capture that and bring it to Kaikohe, we can actually benefit our town in more ways than one. And we have an excellent person that could organise all that, Albert Tana. He was in charge of the passengers and cruise ships in years gone by. So he knows the system, he knows how to work it, and we've got a natural asset, and we should be capitalising on that, of our natural resource. You know more, I don't have to elaborate on that, but something like that, we can. One concept behind that could actually benefit the old dump. There has been a proposal to build the far side. On the top side, we built a mock model palisade to simulate a fortification could be done, because on the top end of the dump, there was twice as much clay put there, so it created a slope to the eastern end. It could be done safely, and a little old village concept on the flat ground where the rugby league field was. And incidentally, that once too was a dump, nearly 100 years ago. And the concept of the Maori fortification village, coupled with the Pioneer Village, we've got the ideal attraction for overseas visitors to come and spend a day at Kaikohe, plus the Monument Hill and all the history that goes behind that. And the Heather Eaton's great dream was one day to hold an outdoor concert in that big flat area to the right of the car park. One day it just might happen. I'd like to see it just for her memory.
Sorry, Mr. Riley, where was that? Where was the concert?
It hasn't been held,
Monument,
but it was
Monument
Heather
Hill.
Eaton's dream to hold it on that big flat area on the top of the Monument Hill.
Oh,
You know it. The idea is good, has a lot of merit.
thank you,
Maybe
Mr.
I might
Riley.
spark somebody else off to pick it up and run.
That's right. It's sometimes our problem in our town. We've got lots of people with lots of good ideas, but nobody actually picks up the baton and holds it till they get to the end of the race.
Well, it happens. Look at the gymnasium. It happens.
Oh, it does happen, but it happens very slowly, and it happens often to the same people holding all the batons, is my opinion. Anyway, any questions for Mr. Riley?
Just a comment, Madam Chair. The police presence, or lack of it, was raised also to me as well. And it has been raised before. Asked them, the chair of the Business Association raised it and did, and others, and actually the police spoke. And they did promise, if I understand, that they would look at the facility. I don't know what the domain is, whether there's some repairs to be done to the police station or not. So they need to follow that up. Thank you.
Yes.
Sorry.
Keep nibbling away, Nick.
So I'm nibbling, Mr. Riley, and I've started meetings with Kaikohe Business Association and Hawaii with Lee Ingle and Linda Bracken at the moment, and we've invited police to attend our meetings because we agree with you that we need some police presence. And we just want to have some communication from them really, as well. So we've invited them to two of our meetings. We meet each fortnight, and they have not been present. So thank you for that. We'll continue to keep nibbling. We might need to bite, because the nibble's not working. Bye-bye. Any further questions? Thank you, Mr. Riley. Okay, public forum. That's all we had for public forum, Mr. Riley. Deputations, we have Mark Anderson here to talk about the Kaikohe Township. Kia ora, Mark.
Kia ora. Waere tēnā koutou, whihia ki te tiamana mō tēnei wā. So the library development and hopefully the town centre or new town centre, town square development is enormously significant for the town. When I was on the community board in 2010, we were asked to lend our support at that stage to someone in Kaikohe, lend our support to that. So when you talk about it taking a while to come, it certainly has, so it's not full time. So I know all the elected members here in some form. My background is community board member. I chaired the Pununi o Māpe Community Development Plan when that happened in 2010. Was chair of the Kaikohe Business Association and owned the Bridgestone shop in Kaikohe a couple of years ago. Lived in Koutu, Kirikiri or Kaiho, worked in Kaikohe and Waipapa. Kaikohe is the Kirikiri of the Bay of Islands Board. We are the karawa of the Te Hiku Board. But we are very much the poor cousin by a mile. One of the things that I believed to be important when I was chairing the Kaikohe Business Association was a town centre manager or someone who could join the dots. Because as you point out, Chicky, there's a lot of ideas, but actually getting stuff to happen, that's a completely different story. And I approached Foundation North, Tyndall Foundation, Northern Link, FNDC to assist with funding of that position to no avail. The council or community board tried for a bid, Business Improvement District, which would have potentially funded a town centre manager. It's one of the reasons I've had enormous success in Kaikohe, the revitalisation project. It's been awesome to watch. I'm very jealous. And I think our chance of getting a bid in the future here would be very, very limited because there's strident opposition from a couple of people who own a lot of properties in town. So I guess one of my key points is you can only make one first impression when you drive into a town. Once that's over, that's it. We don't make a fantastic impression when you drive into town. Guy Road was always quite pretty, except now you've got fences that go up to eye height, or which is like barricades as you drive into town. So one of the reasons there's so little investment in town is that if you're a property owner, well, half of them are absolute owners anyway, is that your return on investment simply doesn't stack up a lot of the time. You can't get the rental return. So this town needs some impetus. The library town centre development is absolutely vital for that. But going hand in hand with that, which is really my angle today, is about the development of the town square as such on the old hotel site alongside. This town has really dropped well below what is an acceptable level of amenity for those who come to town. Look, I come from the Hokianga and, they've had 3 public toilets. It's how long has it taken to get the second public toilet in town here? And I don't begrudge Pununi o Māpe having 3 toilets at all. Town squares are absolutely vital for a town's well-being. They provide a focal point. They set the vibe of the town often, the heartbeat. They're a gathering place. They represent pride. Thursday nights, there's a market in town here. Farmers markets need infrastructure. or Mapere, they have the hall there, which is used for their Saturday markets. I think that Rawene used the hall there. And if you want to look at why the market in Kirikiri on Saturday mornings is so successful, look at their venue, their infrastructure, out of this world. And I went to the Claudelands Farmers Market in Hamilton last Saturday. Outstanding. Almost purpose built for it. So with the 550,000 that rolled around in the long-term plan about a couple of years ago to go towards streetscaping for the Kaikohe-Hokianga ward, my pitch to you today is to ask at this point in time that all of that be used to build infrastructure and develop a town square for this town. When you compare the visual appeal of Kaikohe compared to all the other centres around the district, luckily a lot of the other areas like Kaiho or Mapere, Rawene's got Rara, there's the Ratepayers Association in Popo, or Kaiho's Residents and Ratepayers is very active, or Haiwai's got the Haiwai Taimai, they're very active. The only thing we've got in Kaikohe is the KBA. And really, I see it as a residents' association. There isn't one. We're seriously underrepresented here in terms of doers and people pushing for things to happen in this town. So I'm advocating that all that 550,000 at this point in time be spent on the development of a new town square and developing infrastructure so that we can have proper markets and other things. Developed appropriately, it could be sympathetic for whatever the Runanga wish to develop in the future. So in my mind, it could be a win-win. And the other thing is that if we split that 550 between the centres, the money that will be left just will go nowhere, literally. This town needs a kickstart. Capital's hard to come by. And we really need to regain our identity as a proud rural service town where the main street has an identity of its own and has some street appeal. And I don't mean to be disrespectful to some of the food shops in town, but, you know, we are a main street of third-rate takeaway shops. There's a lot of it. So I just want to hand out to the elected members these photos, which are just images of our main streets around the various towns. I mean, you can have it your own time, but if you look at the back page, page 4, which has got, sorry, it's just got town squares. You know, these places don't happen by accident. Some of you will have been to all of these or some of these. I've been to Christchurch, Claudelands, and these Auckland ones. I haven't been to Dunedin and Melbourne, but a lot of what they've done is not rocket science or hugely expensive, but it has to be there because people form an anchoring presence that attracts other people to spaces. If you attract children to a space, you attract families, and that makes other people feel safe in those spaces. Rocket science, but it doesn't need to be done.
Thanks, Mike. So you were going to be looking at buying a property in Kaikohe from all that I can gather.
Sure.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Mike or any commentary?
Just that your quarterly today is very timely because on our agenda we're moving into placemaking work program.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would absolutely total what you've said this morning. Because our communities are trying, so, you know, with their market days and things like that, imagine if that could be brought into a town centre.
Yes.
It would be amazing. They're trying to do it themselves and step up definitely. So just your conversation, deputation today is just coming.
Cool. Any further comments? Thank you, Mark. Really appreciate your comments today, and hopefully we can make something happen.
Do you want a copy of my notes at all?
Yes, please. And just a big thanks for the that you did through the Kaikohe Business Association and the Lake Coast Association too, Mark. Nice to have you still in our ward, if not living in Kaikohe. And, okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to our speakers today. So we, for our funding application, so our first speaker today is Sam Stewart, representing Coast to Coast Cat Rescue, item 7.3A on page 32. Yeah, Sam. Can you just give me a couple of minutes? Sorry, Sam, to find my pages. I know. One day I'll be flash like you, Councillor Vesich. Okay, sorry, Sam. Thank you.
Coast to Coast Cat Rescue was born due to the sheer numbers of unwanted stray and feral cats in the farmland. Our objective is twofold: to minimise the impact an uncontrolled cat population has on the environment, both urban and rural, by encouraging and educating on the need for responsible companion animal guardianship, including desexing, vaccination, and microchipping, and to provide shelter, care and rehoming for unwanted or stray cats and kittens. Cat control is such an important issue for public health reasons, for protecting our precious wildlife and for reducing the suffering of huge numbers of unwanted cats and kittens living both as companions in low decile areas as well as stray and feral in both urban and rural areas. It may shock you to know that in 3 years, just one unmuted female can have 376 offspring. There are 4 categories of cats: companion, abandoned and lost, stray and feral. It is important to note that a cat can move across all 4 of these categories in its lifetime. Our team of volunteers work tirelessly year-round tracking stray and feral cats, bringing into care dumped kittens and cats from across the region, and providing desexing for cats in the community. We actively comment on Facebook posts giving away free kittens, bringing them into care and getting mum cat and any other cats they have desexed. Since we started Coast to Coast on December the 1st, 2022, we have had 934 cats and kittens come into care, and we have adopted 767. Approximately 75 to 80% of the cats that come into our care come from Kaikohe. No cat or kitten leaves our care undesexed. We have been collaborating with the SPCA for the last year on a desexing program that has seen 836 cats and 828 dogs in the community desexed and vaccinated. That is a total of 1,664 animals not reproducing and adding to the number of unwanted kittens and puppies. The program has just been extended for another year, which is fantastic news for the animals of the far north. Currently, the majority of our kittens are housed in foster homes, which allows for much needed socialisation. Adult cats require secure containment, which is not always achievable in foster homes. At present, most are housed in aviaries, which, although dry and out of the elements, are not quite fit for purpose and hard to sanitise and keep clean. They can also be cold in the winter months. We recently applied for a grant from pub charities for 2 cabins, which would be connected with separate enclosed catios. Unfortunately, we were only awarded $10,000, which does not cover the funds required for the project. We are therefore seeking help to complete a slightly smaller project so we can continue the work we are doing, reducing stray cat numbers across the whole of the farm.
Whoa! Take a breath. Okay, thank you, Sam. Okay, any questions from you? You mentioned a number about the cats in Kaikohe.
Yeah, a lot come from Kaikohe. It is a huge number. That's where most of our cats come from here. I think there is a lot of it comes down to desexing. A lot of people in Kaikohe don't have the funds to desex. There's also a lot of transient rental properties. People often just move away and leave their cats behind. And if they're not desexed, they're just breeding. There's lots of instances where we get cats living under houses that are just breeding away.
So would it not be better to spend some funding on desexing rather than buying a cabin?
We've got this whole program going with the SPCA, so we've already desexed 828 in the last year. They've just extended it again for another 700 cats and also 700 dogs for this following year. So desexing is something we're constantly pumping through.
When animals are desexed, when people rock up to have them desexed, do you check out their bank balance beforehand?
It is more, we're trying to, I have had people I know personally who have especially bought a purebred cat and come to us and said, hey, I'd like to take advantage of this, and I point blank said, no, this is for people that cannot afford to get this done themselves. So we are pretty tough. Well, I am.
Glad to hear it. So how many cats will this cabin house?
Cabins will probably only house 6 to 10. A lot of the adult cats we get are the mama cats that have been in these instances around, say, Kaikohe and other towns had kittens.
You mean 6 to 10 cats in the cabin?
Well, we did want 2, so we were going to have it would have housed 20 cats, but obviously we haven't got the funding for that. So we're going to start with this 6 to 10 in this cabin with the enclosed catio, and then next year, or when we can go to other funding places, then extending it another cabin. And
can you extend on catio?
It's sort of, well, it's just an enclosed. It's adult cats can escape from people's houses out of windows that big, so it really needs to be somewhere really secure. So it's the cabin, and then an enclosed aviary kind of netting.
Final question from me before I go to memberphilia. What would you say to a homeless family wanting a cabin that's listening today?
Well, they obviously need homing as well. Yeah, I guess that's a difficult question. There are a lot of groups needing a lot of things. I think, cats, it's a bigger long-term picture that we're trying to reduce. Like I said, they move through each category. So if you have a companion cat and you haven't desexed it and it's gone stray or you've abandoned it, it's then adding to that stray and feral cat population. So it's just extending it, and then they're out and, eating our birds and our...
Well, personally, that's my only... Yeah. Thank you.
And I will jump onto that too. We have so many homeless, and so many in our communities are living in substandard accommodation. And I've been to a cattery over in Kitty where we dropped our cat for a holiday. And the way that they had set up that home to house a cats for cattery until collected or whatever was actually pretty amazing. And I just wonder if you've looked into other options of where they can be housed at people's homes set up for a cheaper cost.
Adult cats are very difficult to have in foster homes because they want to go outside. That's the thing. Kittens are pretty easy. You can have crates and they're not so keen to get outside until they're going to be about 10 weeks old. The problem really is with the adult cats is trying to house them because they will, like I say, squeeze through a window that big. So it really needs to be somewhere secure because we're trying to stop them being out there doing this, not just chucking them in with people. And fosters are always pretty limited as well because not everybody wants to dedicate their time. There's only a few of us crazies out there that like to do this kind of thing.
So that's my only thing, is if somebody came in asking the board to help fund towards a personal cabin for themselves on their whenua. Where are we in terms of the eligibility for that? So, yeah, just the housing, animals, absolutely totally you'll cope up in what you do. But just, yeah, for me, I'm satisfied to get just that housing.
Just a final comment from me, Sam, is what can we do as a board to, obviously Kaikohe has got a cat problem. And we, what can we do to support or?
Yeah, we're just trying to promote that desexing. I mean, we're all volunteers, so we do this around our work and our families. Every year we always say, hey, we're going to hit Kaikohe in the slightly down season, but we've still got kittens coming in now.
Let us in harder, hey, if hit the street with 800 cats roaming around.
Honestly, Kaikohe Road is absolutely full of cats. We started trapping semi-feral ones all the way at 22. We've got all the way down to the Marai. There are hundreds down that road at the colleges, hundreds, literally hundreds.
Also, Kaikohe-Hokianga is the same.
Yeah.
If you could share any information about desexing and whatever else the stuff is that you're vaccinating, those programs somehow to myself, and we can, get that out to our communities, that would be awesome. Okay, please. Thank you, Sam.
Thanks, Sarah.
Okay. Representing, our next speaker representing the Hokianga Country Music Festival is Medina David. Kia ora, Medina.
Good morning.
Medina.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for considering our funding application for the Hokianga Country Music Festival. The funding will be used to cover the cost of ferry travel for our bands and special ferries for our visitors and performers, and also assist with the cost of our festival badges. So I've been involved with the organising of the festival since 2000. And this year we celebrate 25 years of our festival, which is pretty significant for us. We've always had the support of our venues, volunteers, communities and businesses with fundraising, organising and promoting our festival. Our festival continues to be the annual highlight event for Hokianga. People in our communities from Kaikohe to Wangamaku come together with our visitors and performers, and we have a fabulous 3 days of country music, friendship, good food and Hokianga hospitality. This year we have 7 venues across the Hokianga. Our festival has made a name for itself in country music and for Hokianga as well. We actually have a bandload of people coming from the Chatham Islands this year. Which is pretty awesome. Yeah.
Oh, they have young pinners in Chatham Islands, perhaps they can be a band up to some of those.
So, you know, they're really excited, and so are we to have them. So the purpose of our club initially is to share country music with young and old in the Hokianga area. And our festival gives our club members who enjoy singing the pleasure and privilege of being stars on stage at our festival. So thank you.
Oh, Medina. Any part-time committee members? Councillor Cutler.
How many performers this year?
27 bands.
27 bands.
Would you like to be the 28th, Councillor Cutler?
It's actually
It's one of them.
He wants to know what the competition is.
No, I thoroughly enjoyed last year.
It's an amazing event.
Yep.
Just seeing the buzz about town and the community was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think country Western music, but just seeing everyone,
It is. They come together, like we have all our visitors, a lot of them walk between venues and our locals pick them up.
do let us know if those Chatham Islands is bring a bucket of. It's beautiful. Mutton birds.
Mutton birds too.
Oh, I can arrange to meet you some.
I'm sure they'll bring some.
Okay, bye Medina, thank you. Any further partai? Thank you, and thank you for the work that you do. I really enjoy the fact that it's an event for our queer kaumatua and whānau out in the Hokianga. The fact that they can walk to events and the ferry is on point. It's just awesome. Really cool collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Nice.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker today is Matua Dwayne Allen from Northland College. Item 7.3 on page 55. Tēnā koe, Dwayne.
Tēnā koe tei te whānau, kai hau tū o te kōmiti nei, mihi ana kia koe whai tiki, o taka pōtiri i atane. Me tū o?
No.
Tēnā koe te wama. Ngā manu kōrero, and for those of you who maybe aren't sure of what Ngā manu kōrero is, I'll just give a quick overview of the whakatatai itself. And then speak to some other influences as well. So we're hosting the Ngā Manu Kōrero regional speech competition from the 30th of July through to the 1st of August. The Manu Kōrero speech competition has 3 sections, Te Reo Māori section, Reo Pākehā section and a bilingual section for both junior and senior students throughout Te Tai Tokerau. So all secondary schools from Rodney College through to Te Hokianga over to Te Hiku have the opportunity to enter students into this competition. Kura reo Pākehā, so English medium schools, kura kaupapa Māori as well, kura reo Māori medium, kura as well. An average of about 25 to 30 secondary schools each year into the competition, with various numbers of students involved in that as well. It's a kaupapa that brings together the best of our youth leadership. It gives them an opportunity to express themselves in both English and te reo Māori. Topics are selected at a national level, aside from the bilingual section, which is unique to Te Tai Tokerau. It's the Tāhini Henare section, which come from our reo Te Tai Tokerau secondary schools teachers group here at Te Tai Tokerau. So it gives our young people an opportunity to demonstrate leadership and role model in that space. Also, for us, an opportunity to showcase our college and our town. This is the second time in 6 years that Northland College has hosted Ngā Mana Kōrero. A little bit of a pressure cooker process through here. It's been through a few set of hands and arrived with us in April this year. So quite a short space of time that we have had to get ourselves sorted. Nonetheless, it's a very significant and important kaupapa as an advocate of te reo Māori and youth, generally speaking. It's a really key part of that. The winners from the regional competition advance through to a national competition, which will be held in September in Palmerston North. Cost associated, it's everything from manaakitanga is a huge part of it. So we have 3 marae booked for accommodation if schools require that. It's also over a 3-day period of the competition. The kai, the manaakitanga associated with looking after our kaumātua, our judges who will be coming in as well. Also potential, and I say potential accommodation cost for judges because they are to be confirmed. They'll be confirmed on Monday as to whether or not they require accommodation and where they're coming from, but also other associated costs, staging, backdrop, greenery, chairs, everything, sound system required with the competition.
You might just want to talk, Dwayne, about the mention of Papa Hawaii in the application.
Yeah.
So I think I read it there.
Yeah. So initially we had intended to host it at Papa Hawaii for logistical reasons and in part because of that time pressure around organisation. We've actually made the decision to switch it back up to the college and we'll be hosting it there. Logistical reasons, just a lot easier for us to do it on site.
Any questions from members?
So I need to go na iwa na tai in tēnā kai te whastina here.
Ngā mana kōrero,
It's cool.
I just think of those 2 days, 30, or that period. How many people are you expecting to attend?
well, we're setting up for 200 seats in the auditorium. So day on day, that's our expectation and what we're preparing for.
And would you have the number of vendors?
So we're not promoting vendors, Matua, and again, that's a time constraint thing, a logistics thing for us. So it's suffice to say it's a very popular event, popular enough that it's actually a cap on the number of people who can accompany students who enter the competition. And that's in part the logistics side of it as well. So that's capped at 10 official who would accompany a speaker and be on the stage with the speaker so that there's enough space for a good one. That's not new, that's existing.
So do you think, Dwayne, that 200 seats in the gym area, will that be enough seating or are you?
I believe so. I'm just working on the advice that I've been given and 200, that's what we're working on. Yeah.
And have you got any other funding applications? I can't remember.
One to TPK.
yes, okay. And you haven't heard back from that?
Yes, we have.
Okay, any further questions?
Well, I'd just like to make a statement, Madam Chair. I attended the one in Mangatoroto. It was a huge success, and it brought huge income into Mangatoroto area, Kaipara. And in fact, I was very surprised because also being part of Rotary over there, the numbers were just amazing. They couldn't, our group couldn't think of anything better for the area. So I'm imagining that coming here as another year is going to contribute to the economy of Kaikohe-Hokianga and its whereabouts. Good.
Kia ora, Dwayne, thank you for your time and
You'll get a call from me later.
I great to have such a cool event in our town. Okay, our next speaker is Aroha Allen, representing the Kaikohe Bowling Club, item 7.3 on page 63 for members. Kia ora, Aroha Nui. And we have Kate here too. Come on, Kate.
Oh, I've got the baby.
What?
She's got the baby.
Baby here. Ah, halfway. All right, you can sit down now.
Okay.
If you'd like to.
Tēnā koutou katoa. Kia kūnei a kūrahi, koutou e heke tōta ana, o tō tātou takiwa, o tātou hāpori, tēnei tō iti e mihi ana. Kia koe te tiamana e Chiki, e mihi ana I tō whakapaukaha mō te hemo tonu atu, mai te kura, tainua mai ki tēnei tēpu. O tira ki tā tātou kahi kā, me tāna maia kia tū ki te taha tika o hītori, kia mau pū, mau hoki ki ona mātā pono ahakoa te aha, e mihi ana kia koutou katoa. Thank you for your time and allowing me to speak to our application for the upgrade of the Kaikohe Bowling Club green to an AstroTurf. With the median age of Northland at 42.7 years, and for those living in and around Kaikohe, the Kaikohe Rugby Club is the only other significant sporting facility. The Kaikohe Bowling Club, which reaches out to Mangamuka, Utukura and Horekea, serves as a crucial community hub. The club plays a vital role in offering our kaumātua and queer and those less physically capable access to physical activity and community engagement. It nurtures their competitive spirit, keeping that fire alive, and significantly contributes to their overall well-being, ensuring our elderly remain active, engaged, and connected is essential to enhancing their quality of life. The winter months can be particularly challenging for them, significantly impacting their mental health. Depression often sets in after shorter days and reduced social interaction. And for this reason alone, upgrading the turf from grass to AstroTurf becomes absolutely necessary for our community. The upgrade will enable the club to be open all year round as opposed to seasonal and give our kaumātua and queer a place to have yarns, throw banter and catch up with friends and family. The club has seen an increase in my generation and the generation below, nieces and nephews, but we have the luxury of age, mobility and physical capability to seek social interaction and active participation elsewhere, whereas our kaumātua here, they are limited, and especially, or as well as our whānau who have physical impairments. The total cost of the project is $275,790. The club has raised $90,000. Club charity has funded $35,000. Foundation North, although initially declining our funding request, indicated that we do meet their priority areas and strategic objectives, and they have encouraged us to reapply towards the end of our funding drive once we can show that the majority of the project funding has been secured. We have also applied to the Lottery Community Facilities Fund for $75,000, and we won't know the outcome of that till the 4th of September. Volunteer and community involvement are the lifeblood of our club and the sole reason the club is in a position to contribute $90,000. Thank you. Our dedicated volunteers manage daily operations, organise events and maintain the facility. Financial stability is a priority. Our membership fees of $100 per year support the club's daily upkeep. Bar sales during events, revenue from dinner nights and venue hire for external events and organisations further bolster our financial stability and allow us to reinvest in the facility. In conclusion, the installation of an AstroTurf at the Kaikohe Bowling Club is an investment in the community's future. It will foster inclusivity, promote health and wellbeing, and enhance the quality of life for all. And we kindly ask for your support to make this vision a reality. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, Arohanui. Any pātai Arohanui? I must say that the picture paints 1,000 words. Is that the saying? And when I looked at the picture that was provided somewhere, I was just trying to find it. I thought, oh gosh, it is in need of some tender loving care, and I just like the aspect of, again, looking after koe and kaumātua and it being a place where they can go and be together and have a few laughs and play a game if they feel like it. So just thank you to the Kaikohe Bowling Club for the work that they've done up to date in terms of creating a space for lots of people in that community. We just don't know how special places like that like those are and the impact that they can have on individuals. So yeah, just thank you for your presentation today, but the mahi that previous people in that community have obviously gone through, and what a cool amount of money that you've raised. That's significant.
I just joined the whānau, so I can't take any credit for the fundraising. Kate's one of the pillars over there, and works the bar to bring in the funds to be able to keep the place alive. And Ahio loves it there, and all his grannies, and they've knitted him a couple of cool blankets. So it's a real hub when it's alive.
Community hub. Yeah. Awesome. Any further pātai? No. Yes, Councillor Kaha.
Remember here to kia koutou hoki ko tai mai I rungi tēnei karanga. I'm sure with your reputable players within your club will definitely, achieve your guys' goal. But thank you very much.
No, that's right.
Thank you for your time today. Sorry, I didn't see baby sitting there. I would have popped you further up the...
No, he's all right. He's
been good. Thank you, Kate. Okay, our next speaker today is Christina Moringa. Oh, hang on, I better check. Anyone else got a baby? No.
All the babies are a bit older.
Kia ora. Christina Moringa, representing St Mary's Church Committee, and that item for members is 7.3F, page 71.
And we also have Pauline Evans here.
Pardon?
We also have
Pauline. Sure. Pauline and Christine. Take a seat. Oh, Rob. Come up, Rob. Bring a seat up.
Well, I can see other people down there from St Mary's Church.
Oh, you can all come up if you'd like to. I think we should have just gone and sat there. But that's cool. That's great that, so many of you are here to support the application. It says lots, doesn't it? Okay, over to you.
Okay, well, tēnā tātou katoa, Chairperson Tiki Waitan, good to see you. Councillor Bersich, members of the board, and she's gone. Oh, you're down the bottom, our North Hokianga Harmony Dunbury, yes, and to all present, and
not so many left anymore. So I greet you in the name of God, our Creator, Redeemer, and Giver of life, on behalf of the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Church, at which I am presbyter. I'm Christina Moranga. In support of I have our secretary Pauline Evans, musician Rob Shadbolt, and congregation members Denise Hill, and community support, because we have community support as well. So Miguel. So thank you for the opportunity to speak to the application we have submitted in regards to funding for the pipe and repairs at St Mary Beach. In the 1990s, we were able to purchase our taonga, the pipe organ, for church music and for the use of concerts and music workshops in North Hokianga, in conjunction with the Bay of Islands Singers, to which people from the whole of Northland attended. We had hoped if a teacher was available, the organ could also be used as a teaching instrument. We were assisted in the purchase by an ASB community grant and other donations. Time, damp, moths, and rodents, of course, damage to the wiring and belts and other parts. Despite our efforts with dehumidifier, rodent control and other measures, plus engaging the services of the South Island Organ Company to tune it. In November 2023, Mike Young from the South Island Organ Company came to tune the organ and noted that a greater task of restoration was needed to bring the organ back to its full potential. And it's a lovely little organ, but worthy of the value of having it upgraded. We had spent a time without an organist, but now are fortunate to have the services of one. So I feel it is time to restore the organ for the pleasure of the congregation and the community. Mike was pleased to find one of our congregation, Rob Shadbolt, who's a piano tuner, was able to use his knowledge and skills in assisting him to start the repair work and learn more of the intricacies of the pipes in the organ and the whole workings of it. This means that we have someone on site to care for the organ regularly and assist with proposed work and annual checkup and tuning we will engage the South Island Organ Company to undertake. We have started an organ donation fund and would like to utilise the organ to generate ongoing funds by possibly holding concerts to cover future maintenance. We look forward to being able to complete the work begun on the restoration of the pipe organ so that it can be played for all to enjoy its music. So, kia ora.
Kia ora. Kia ora. Thank you, Christine. Anyone else have anything to add to that?
If you've got any questions, they can answer.
Yeah. Does anyone have any questions?
Well, just one quick question. What was the original cost of the organ?
The original purchase price was $16,000. That was in 1993. And then but at that point, it was a second-hand organ then, so it was worth about $30,000 at the time. So at the moment, it's insured for about $50,000 for replacement. Yeah. So it's a valuable instrument to look after. Yeah.
They do sound nice and they are quite expensive.
Yeah.
So how often would the organ be used in a normal circumstance if it was going?
Well, we have monthly services and there are people who are using it to to practice on and learn.
Getting a few neighbours coming in, just keeping it mobile.
Yeah. We've got a Christmas service coming up this Christmas, which is turning into quite a big event because the organist comes with sound equipment as well as the organ, and it's quite a community event that's held here.
So did I hear that the organist is living in Kaikohe?
He was hoping to live in Kaikohe. Unfortunately, circumstances meant that they couldn't live there, but he comes over from, well, he was coming from Kirikiri, but he'll come from North now.
Okay. And so what what plans are in place to ensure that there is an organist, you know, all the time? You wouldn't want an organ sitting there all pristine and beautiful and have it not being used, or is there any plans to have I don't know?
Well, we invite organists from other places. Next month we have Margaret Smiley coming from Tongariro to play for us, and we need to get it up and running, because I mean, when you play one note and something else is playing, that is a bit off-putting, so we need to get it up and running to be able to get it.
Yeah, and if we organise a concert, we just need to have the organ ready to be used. So, yeah, it's not as if it's there's an organist there every day, but it's part of the infrastructure of the church, and the organ is 40 years old. So this restoration will keep the organ going for another 30 or 40 years. It's not a...
And how are you going to manage the rodents and the other bits that are nibbling away at it?
It's actually quite manageable, because they've been coming in through gaps, easy to identify, and I'm closing off those gaps with the strips of timber and moulding and stuff. I've been baiting them for a while. That one's been quite easy. It's just been for a while. There were moths. We're using mothball, of course. Same thing I have to do.
Yeah.
So I'm looking ahead. It's a valuable asset. It needs to be maintained and kept at that value to be worth anything. And I think it's quite rare in that area too, to find a pipe organ.
I wonder if they're having the dehumidifier constantly.
Yeah.
I just wonder if you're in touch with the New Zealand Historical Places Trust. Is there some sort of funding in that respect to that particular piece of?
Yeah, from the funding sources that I've looked at, it's mainly sort of focused on buildings. Yeah. So this is sort of a bit of an outlier. So it's important to the community, but but it's not. It doesn't fit into a lot of boxes. But because of that community ethic that the organ has, we thought the community board would be a good source of funding to apply for. Yeah.
And I presume once it's up and running, the organ, is that what it's called? An organ? Yeah. Organ players would come for miles. Organists would play it.
Pretty far, actually. There are quite a few of us. We've got quite a few musicians around the community. They need to be able to read piano, and they can have a lot of fun on that organ, actually.
Did the Kaikohe Tamariki have a jam on it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, and if the organ's there, then there's that opportunity to, yeah. Because it's a keyboard, so a lot of people play electric keyboards, so they can transfer to a pipe organ, yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you, and thanks for looking after that special bit of equipment, because it could easily have just been sitting in there and got eaten away, I guess. And
we are asking for funds for that, because we have got funds set that we're going to have to repaint our very steep roof in the church to bring it up to standard again too. So there's quite a bit of ongoing costs to the church. Right. So this was just one area that's community interest. Yeah.
Well done. Thank you. Thank you all for coming and supporting. Well done. Okay, our next speaker is not here, so we don't have anyone here from the Pioneer Village to talk to that application again. So we'll move on to our next item on our agenda. Okay, so excuse us. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. If we go to page 8. Recommendation is that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board confirms the minutes of the meeting 21st of June 2024 as a true and correct record. I'll move that recommendation. Thank you, councillor Vusic.
Any areas?
Any discussion, any errors that anyone's picked up in there?
Through you, the chair, I just wanted to note that I note in accordance with Standing Order 23.5 on page 16, I referenced the wrong standing order number. That should be 3.9.15 in the Kaikohe-Hokianga community.
Okay, thank you. That will be amended. Any further edits? No. Okay. All those in favour? Aye. Any against? And no abstentions. Thank you. At what point do we need to talk about this? When we come to this.
Yeah.
Do that now. Okay, all right. Okay, so moving on to page 18, our reports. And we have Robin in the room. Thank you, Robin. Robin Wilson, Parks and Reserves Planner. So the recommendation is that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board recommends that an individual reserve management plan is prepared for somewhere in the Kaikohe-Hokianga ward. Do we move that recommendation and then we have our discussion and then we fill in the blank as the way that goes? So I'll move that recommendation. Do I have a seconder?
Yeah, I'll second.
Thank you, councillor Vusic. And we'll move into discussion and allow Robin to have a kōrero first and foremost. Thank you, Robin.
Tēnā koutou. So in terms of involvement with the Rawene Domain Reserve Management Plan, the people working on that plan have I think that the best thing is to allow a bit more time for the foundation work to be done there. We therefore have other options that were put forward in front of the community board a year ago to choose. I'm happy to give any further comment about any of those if you want that sort of detail or
I just have a question, Robin, please, for members online and members of the community particularly that might watch this meeting later. Just if you could just briefly give us a simple idea of what a reserve management plan is and why we have them.
Absolutely, sorry. Yes, so a reserve management plan essentially sets the vision for a park, and what it means is that council knows how to manage it and the community know what they can expect to do there. So typically it has a vision, it has objectives and policies. It says you can do this here, you can't do this here. It might have leases. So one of the advantages of considering leases as part of a reserve management plan is that leases lock up an area of land, therefore they require community consultation to say, yes, it's okay for that land to be given to, you know, a sports club or whatever it might be. But in the context of a reserve management plan, it allows us to consider the whole site. So yes, we can give that group a bit of area, but does that leave enough land for other activities in other areas? So it's just making it very clear to all parties what the purpose of the reserve is and how we should be managing it into the future.
Okay, thank you. Just a further query, the reserves that are mentioned here in the program and the report, the Rawene Domain, Limbark Park, Sportsville, Kaikohe, Memorial Park, Kaikohe, or Hawaii Rugby Field, Honeheke Memorial Park, Are any of those leased, or are they, what's the?
So there would be leases, well, there are leases associated with Rawene Domain, Linfart Park. I think, I'm not sure about the Kaikohe Rugby Field, there may be an MOU of some description.
So in terms of, what do you call it? Maintaining the areas, I'm thinking about mowing perhaps. How do we know so is that spelt out in a reserve management plan that area is to be mowed by the facilities team?
In general, it doesn't go into that sort of detail. It might say that there's an area that has a different management. It might say that is part of a lease, because lease terms may include management. So, for example, it might be that a sports club the management does go down to mowing, but it doesn't, it's kind of wider management issues so that it allows for changes in contract or whatever in the future.
So where do you find that detail? Where do you find the detail around mowing and who's responsible for what?
That
should be in the community facilities contract.
Yes, it's in a contract. It would be.
Contract.
It would generally be, guided by the annual plan as to how much funding there was. It's a little bit more flexible.
Okay, thank you. Member Fair.
What opportunity will the community board have to look at the draft before it going to policy?
So through the chair, the community board have delegation over parks and reserves. So the process would be that the community would be asked their thoughts about the reserve, and that's a fairly open consultation to start the process. And then I'd go away and write a plan, or get someone else to write a plan that probably includes a concept plan that would come back to the community board before it goes out to targeted consultation with the community, which is, this is our thoughts, this is the plan we're thinking of, are there any bits you disagree with?
Just of those, because we have of the four that have no existing reserve management plans. Rawene, if I'm reading this correctly, you're saying that we need a bit more time with that one because of what's going on there, more time to complete what's happening. Reserve management plan, is that correct? And then you have the other three, and that's really a choice of those. But to put they into that blank space. Is that correct?
Yes, through the chairperson, that's correct. The project team involved in the Rawene domain feels that a bit more time would allow us and there's possibly other wider conversations we need to have before we look at the reserve management plan there.
Yeah, Memorial Park was sort of signalled as one area that may have some placemaking project. So I'm not sure if that's going to then be in a similar sort of category with the Rawene domain, that if there are some thoughts about what can be done there, is it wise to be doing a reserve management plan at that stage? So that's one question, which means we're probably left with two. What's your thoughts?
Through the chairperson, the Memorial Park is a really important park, but it's not necessarily a complicated park. I am in the placemaking team, so I'd certainly be in touch with the rest of the team involved in the Kaikohe placemaking project.
Kaikohe Memorial Park being a historic reserve, does that change the nature of the reserve management plan in any way?
The policy directs that we should have a separate reserve management plan for our historic reserve. There will be a few things to tease out there. So certainly I suggested a year ago that probably not all of that site needed to be a historic reserve, and then I was charged with talking to local hub about that, but because of their priorities and possibly my priorities, that hasn't happened, but certainly that would probably be need to test out the future of that reserve, and I'm not quite sure what it is. Certainly there's a really important historic monument, but then there are complications with how we manage and reserve the rest of the reserve, which has a high standard of care implied by the Reserves Act classification that's not necessarily needed, and it has confusing things like it has a whole lot of infrastructure that you wouldn't expect in a historic reserve.
So does staff have any particular out of the recommendation which part would be a good one for the reserve management plan?
In terms, though, going through these, Lindbart Park there, I guess there are a few things going on, so I'm not sure about the timing and fitting that in with leases. Memorial Park should be a relatively easy reserve management plan. There are some issues with easements and car parking that we need to look at, but just setting a general vision for the future. Or Highway Rugby Field, I think there actually might need to be some, I think there might need to be some conversations there that might take a wee while to sort out. And Honeheke Memorial Park, I think there's probably going to be a lot of korero there as well.
I agree, Robin, that the Memorial Park one seems to be a simple, dare I use the word, more easy to get moving, and it kind of ties in with some placemaking that we've been talking about with the skate bowl in that area. We've got that lovely park that's just been opened, and then we've got the eyesore skate bowl thing. So I think Member McVeigh had a question online about Lindbart, and you're happy with that. Jess, you're welcome to join us. Papai? Okay, thank you. Any other member Felia, then Councillor Kapo?
I think we've been given previously a map in and around what the councillor's definition of the Raori domain is, but I'm wondering, there's murmurs in and around other areas, so I'm wondering if we could please be sent as board members a map of the Raori domain area. Because Hapu had absolute invested interests across those regions, Ngāti Kahara and Ngāti Reo as well as Mahuri. So if we could get a map. One of the questions also that I have, but it's been answered, is the RMP, etc. across work done with council leases, which I acknowledge that you answered.
Through the chairperson, map of the Rawene domain, the Wairere area of Rawene domain has been given to Piripi as part of consultation with Hapu, and I can certainly make that available to the community board. And sorry, I think the second question was answered. Did you say? Yes. Kia ora.
Thank you, Madam. I just want to get some clarity around historical reserves. I understand that the monument had some work done on the stone. What's that category come under? Does it do work on the stone? Is that another management type? Was it part of the management plan?
So there isn't a management plan for this site, but the significance of that management means there would have been a restoration plan. Yes, absolutely. And that was, I haven't seen the monument since it was restored, but I understand there's some great work there. I guess we have very many important historical sites across the Far North District. And the monument, Kaikohe monument, is definitely an important part of history, but in conversations with Pauhere Taonga, the rest of the site, including infrastructure, probably is not is better managed as something other than a historic reserve.
If I just wanted to pick up inside the identified, what category does the cemetery that's just on the Kahia Road there? I'm trying to think of the name, but it's behind some residential homes there.
Now, I've had a look at a couple of cemeteries and I can't remember. Cemeteries would ordinarily be held by Gazette as a cemetery. They're not. They're actually under slightly different legislation, although when they are closed, they can often become heritage reserves. So if it's a closed cemetery, it's really something other.
Robin. Just, I think one of the things, Robin, is that members are kept in touch with what's going on in terms of, whichever plan we go with today, and particularly the Raone Domain plan moving forward, please.
Kia ora. Well, certainly one way to do that is to put it in as an action into the Info Council, which means that I get a reminder every month to update you.
I'm sure that. Thank you. Okay. Can we have in the, can you share, do we need to share that up on the screen? We don't, we've all got it in front of us, hey, do we need to do that in a separate? No? Okay. So we need to decide on a reserve. We will put forward to have a reserve management plan prepared for. And yeah, do I just?
We can ask around. We still have that colleague around the table. I think for me, it sounded like it's a memorial start, so I'm going to do that. For the reasons that yes, my thoughts.
Okay, thank you. We'll go this way.
Yeah. It's really up there at the stage.
Councillor Kappa, do you have any?
No, I don't.
Member. Okay, so I was a mover of that recommendation, and I agree that Memorial Park Kaikohe should be the reserve plan. Have a reserve plan prepared for it. So you were the seconder.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that has, do we need to put it to the vote? So we'll put that to vote. All those in favour? Aye. Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. Thank you, Robin, for the work that you're doing. And I just noted Jesse's comment on the notes online requesting proactive information so we can support our role. Thank you. Okay, moving on to page 21, 7.2 report. And we have Jay and McCulloch and Tammy Worcester online with us today. They are the writers of the report, Jay McCulloch and the growth planning and placemaking person. And Tammy, you've got a flash title too, haven't you? But it's not here, so I can't read it out. I know it's something cool.
That's right. Integrated planning manager. Doesn't that sound exciting?
That sounds very exciting. Okay, so we have a recommendation here, and the recommendation is that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board recommend the growth planning and placemaking team commence a placemaking project resulting in a placemaking plan for the community of Kaikohe in the general area of Broadway, State Highway 12 and its immediate environs, up to and including the eastern and western urban entrances, and B, approve a sum of some dollars awarded from the Pride in Place Fund to implement priority outcomes identified in the Kaikohe Broadway placemaking plan. So I will move that recommendation. Do I have a seconder? You, Councillor Hesich. So we'll move into some discussion following some cordial from both Jay and Tammy, please.
Kia ora koutou, ko Jay McCulloch Tokawingawa, Team Leader Growth Planning and Placemaking. So I've put the recommendation up to focus the placemaking activities on Broadway to link in with the Civic Hub Library development, expand out from. That does, if I can touch on a question that was raised earlier in Robin's report on the reserve management plan, it does mean that we probably stay away from Memorial Park in terms of doing placemaking in that specific space, and we just focus on the main street. And I've left the sum to you guys to determine, because it's going to be a nominal. It's going to be what I would call seed money to allow some outcomes to be developed and on the ground as a result of the placemaking plan. But I would anticipate that if we have a good, robust engagement with the community and capture their moemoeā in a placemaking plan, there will be outcomes that are far more expensive than a seed money of 20 or 30K. And the next step is using that placemaking plan, that document that comes out of it, to feed into future annual plan, long-term plan, or other funding mechanisms that might become available. So happy to take any questions. And over to Tammy, if you've got anything to add to that, Tammy.
No, thank you, Jay. I think you summarised that really well. Thanks.
I do have a question. So what sort of seed funding would, too little would mean your job's not going to be effective? What sort of seed funding would you be looking at? So in other words, what do we have in that fund, and what would make your job actually effective?
I think you have 50K. Is that correct? I'm not totally across what is available in the board's fund there.
100.
100. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, for example, Bay of Islands Whangaroa allocated nearly all of that sum to one project in a couple of years ago. I think that this board, and probably many boards, would like to restrict or control that fund and give it to a few different projects. So I think the reality is you're probably talking around that 20, 30, maybe 40. The objective of the project is to keep that money set aside for implementing the desired outcomes, though. So our project would carry the costs of undertaking, our team would carry the cost of undertaking the project itself. So if we need some technical input, the cost of engaging with communities, all of that sits with us, and the sum you allocate, the seed money, is just for building the new signage or the seats or the going towards something tangible.
Member Ophelia.
I would like to see that the comments made and delivered to us through Mark Anderson's, his comments in and around the development of a town centre are taken into account in terms of the planning, because there is community voice, one community voice of many. I also we've got to see tangible outcomes, and these tangible outcomes need to be seen by our communities. So I know there'd be a long-term strategic focus on where things can go, can help town centre, roading and infrastructure and things like that. But I believe and I total the portal in and around a town centre development and workplace making, bring that to life, because that's an amazing bounce off. But it certainly needs a lot more funding put into it than that amount of seed funding and things like that. So that's my corridor in and around that space. I do have another comment for later, but in regards to a statement on page 21, but I'll wait for others to comment first. Jess, you've got your hand up? No, you've taken it.
Yeah. No.
You can.
Can I call
it? Ai, kaya koe.
Ngā mihi. Kia ora, Jay, Tammy. So I heard the kōrero around involving tamariki, I think, and also around if we commit some of what I think is called now our pride of place proportion as a seed fund into this placemaking activity, which I'm all for. I just, can we put into, I don't know where it would sit, but whether it's in the contracts with whoever is doing the engagement, or is there a policy or something? Basically, I'd really like to see something written in to ensure that tamariki were fully engaged in the process of the design, and also that our pūtea would achieve those tangible outcomes. I hear you saying it, that's awesome, you heard us last time, that's great. Can it be written in so that isn't forgotten if it's shifted to somebody else or another department or a contractor?
Thank you, Minute Bay.
Yes.
Catherine.
Just through the chair and for clarity, the way our auditors have requested, we must have firm timelines and plans when we're allocating funding, if it is to carry over into a new financial year. So if the board were to allocate money today, I would recommend that it was something along the lines of allocates X amount of money towards pride of place placemaking, on the proviso that a plan comes back to the board before the end of the financial year showing where that funding is going to be allocated and what timeframes are in place for that, because the auditors will need that. So you can tentatively allocate the money subject to that coming back to the board for approval before it's spent.
So are we assuming that a plan would take, how much longer have we got before we depart our seats?
Next year, isn't it?
Next year. Are we, what's the...
It's new financial year next year, so you've still got this year.
Yeah. What would the time frame be? Because I'm thinking, I won't tell you what I'm thinking because I want it done last week. But you tell me what the time frame might look like, please.
Yeah, sure. So I can draw on the recent project over in Russell, which has had a very condensed time frame. So I'd like to probably give a little bit more time than that, but we started late last year and we are in the final phases of this is the last day actually for the community to vote on their preferred options in terms of outcomes, and then we'll move forward to setting up project teams to start working on how to refine the detail around each of the outcomes and deliver them. So that's a 7-odd-month process to get to a point where you can start to define what it is that you're going to spend the money on. So
okay, so yes, glad I asked the question. Sorry to cut you off, Joe, but glad I asked the question. I had a feeling that my condensed and your condensed were two different tins.
What I would I would like to raise is I think the time frame you're giving, Jay, is where you had a steering group in a community that structure was already in place and you were ready to start. So there would need to be a little bit of lead time as well in terms of setting that up, starting off in this community versus how it was already in Russell.
Yeah, you need to develop your engagement plan and determine whether you've got a working group that you can work with within the community or whether it needs to be led by staff and planned out your engagement sessions to develop the ideas with communities, then touch back with the community and refine those and determine them. So within the year, I would think that you would have you'd be starting to firm up your outcomes and being able to advise what the spend is on.
So the reason I initially had
a year to not have a plan, to have consultation, a plan drawn up, and the whatever it is completed in a year.
The plan to build the outcomes. It could happen sooner, but the reality is you want to ensure that you've got good engagement, and as elected member McVeigh indicated, we like to ensure that we're working with tamariki as well. So, which is what we do generally across the placemaking projects. It does take a little while to get your material ready to go out for a public engagement. For example, in Russell, we did a 10-day pop-up event where people could come in with all of their great ideas for what they would like to see the money spent on, the placemaking money spent on. Then you need to work with all of those ideas, distill them down to identify your preferred ones, go back out to the community and say, this is what we heard, these were your top ideas, let's refine these and develop these further. Then let's prioritise them.
I think that's way too long myself, and I'd like to be involved in the process.
Fantastic.
In that process,
excellent, because that was the reason I raised my hand, was I was wanting to, if possible, understand what role the community board wanted to have, if it was going to be one person that would be working with us, or if the model was what Catherine, but I think the question's just been answered.
Sorry. Tammy, I think it's what community board has done before, for example, with Mangamuka, put in 20K, employed ARCO, and they went ahead and did that would involve tamariki, involved everybody else, and they did it pretty quickly, including the design. So I don't see any reason why we can't move quicker, and I'd be inclined to say even putting half the funding, 50K, with the idea that this is the community board project, that they will be there right behind it, and if necessary, we'll engage parties that can actually help start to put this through quickly. And somebody like the chair on the community board would be attending meetings. Certainly I'd be keen to as well.
So, Jay, isn't it kind of comes down to the model that we do as to the speed in which it can be done, and whether that would meet the expectations, I suppose, of the community as to how they'd want it done? Would that be one of the challenges there, to say that we could just do it in a much more condensed?
Yeah, the reality is the time frame that it's taken for Russell, where we've had a number of community volunteers who have formed that working group and dedicated quite a lot of time to not only just participating in the frequent steering group meetings, but actually doing the doing. So getting out on the street and talking with the business owners, drafting up material that needs to go out to inform the public of the community of where we're at, and to inform stakeholders. So there's, once you get into the project, there's quite a lot to it. It could be worth having a discussion with Jane Hindle about her experience of the time frame associated with doing Russell. We've been pretty busy across.
Jane Hindle actually sent me a message just 2 days ago, and I haven't got back to her yet, and she wanted to discuss something or other. So probably I'll be raising a few things along those lines. I personally think with what Babe is involved in with the street, with a key part of it all, and the engagement of Final Holdings in there, that there's a lot of work that actually has already been happened. There are a lot of people that can actually pick up. So I think that we can move quicker. And if I look at the chair, certainly she comes quite check me under the table, but I'd say that that's the message I'm getting. We've got to move a lot quicker.
Yeah,
we can try.
And I just want to say, were you online listening to ex-chairperson of the Kaikohe Business Association? He came with some pretty clear views in and around what the community and the business association feedback through him. I think, and with the commitment that we would, I'm happy to spend time driving this, and we have people in our communities that would also. So we need now, not later. Thank you, Jay and Tammy, for your work and effort that you're putting in. We just want things to happen probably really quickly, and I'm sure you've felt that throughout this kōrero now and others.
Yes.
But I also understand that there are processes that you have to follow, and that, when I'm speaking, I'm not thinking about those. I'm not in your shoes. So we've got 2 recommendations here, and I'm going to sum up by saying that considering the kōrero from Mark Anderson this morning, and the enormously significant feature a main street is, and the number of people from Hokianga and outlying areas that use our Kaikohe community as the place that they shop. They come to the doctors, they come to the warehouse, they come to the market on a Thursday. I'm going to suggest that the total sum of 100,000 K is used from the Pride and Place Fund to implement the priority outcomes. I'll let you all have a swallow, and you can put your heads down and roll your eyes if you'd like. But that's my my thinking. I look at entrances to towns that I've been to, and I see amazing signage. We enter our town, there's a little huppery blue pale one down the bottom of town that probably cost a lot of money back in the day, and it was beautiful when it was first put up, but it sadly has faded, and it's ugly now. We don't even have one coming into Kaikohe from the Hokianga area, and those are my whānau that come from the Hokianga to our town to do their business. I'd like them to have the best experience when they come to our town. I'm not saying that Hokianga should miss out. I think that we need to continue to support Hokianga. But I think, as Mark said this morning, we are the poor cousin. Our main street is ugly, although we do have lots of shop owners that are putting a little bit of effort in, but most of the shop landlords are not. They don't even live in Kaikohe. So, they're just interested in checking their bank accounts every fortnight. I've been meeting, as I said earlier this morning, with Linda Bracken from the Kaikohe Business Association and with Lee Ingle and hopefully the police at some point. And one of the things that we're doing at the moment is trying to contact business owners, if not landlords, just to say, hey, how about just cleaning your front window for a start, or picking up the rubbish, or doing something to help our town? And that doesn't cost money. But I think if we're going to do something, we need to do it well. And so that's why I'm suggesting the total amount of money. Now, hopefully, we're not going to use the total amount.
So just following on, I agree with the chair, and certainly with Mark Anderson. You got me, Mika.
Yes.
So certainly with Mark Anderson's comments that he wanted to do something well, we have a lot of discussions been having. But my question really is that sort of money, I'd expect things actually done as well as part of not just the plan.
Mm-hmm.
So, and therefore, the question I've got is, as the Mangamoku example we put up, that was giving a plan. And so we're putting 100K up there. That's quite a bit of investment into a plan. So I'm expecting action, as I say, not only the plan being done, but also some action actually happening. So I think that's going to end up. So if you can answer that, I'm quite happy. And just one other question I have, and this affects what structure is going to be there. If a structure is put in place to actually help implement it, and it's got charitable status, then we can actually add to that fund significantly. So that's something we need to consider as well.
Sure. Through the chair, the 100K would be spent on implementing the preferred agreed outcomes that the community lands on, my team, because we are involved in partnering up with the community group or the wider community, my team will carry the costs of developing that plan. We have a new starter joining us on Monday, and she will be driving this project along with input from myself and Tammy. Writing the plan that the community lands on, the placemaking plan that not only details the journey that the community went on, but the outputs that they agreed on and that were able to be installed through that initial seed fund, and also capturing any further community agreed outcomes, which the funding wouldn't be there immediately, but you have that there as a placemaking plan for any future funding options that become available. So
I think so. Also, given that that's for this coming year, and we can start, then we have the new year coming. I presume that we will be in a similar position for the new year as well. Is that correct? And therefore, we're looking at something to be done in the Hokianga just to respond to the chair's thoughts that we know it will leave Hokianga out of. Is that correct?
If I can understand the question, I think you're allocating this financial year's budget to placemaking, and so any additional placemaking activities, my team would need to focus on the Kaikohe piece of work, and the budget's going to the Kaikohe piece of work.
Not asking you to change your focus, but I'm saying, just so Catherine, probably I'm asking this question too. So this financial year began just recently, finishes in July.
Started 19 days ago.
Yeah, 19 days ago. It finishes 12 months, but the training hasn't finished at that stage. So there's still work that we can be doing 19 days after the new. That's what I'm suggesting. So I'm asking.
Well, this was where I was coming in, is that if any money is allocated, that's fine. But if it is not spent within this financial year and there is nothing behind it saying what it's been spent on, all of that sort of stuff, then audit will not allow us to carry it over. And that's why I'm saying, as soon as the consultation is done, if you can bring back a report to us and say, this is what we're going to spend the money on, and the board can approve that, then that gives the background and the backing so that that funding can be carried over if it's not all spent within the 1 year. But there has to be timeframes, and it has to be very clear what that funding is going to be spent on.
So you convinced me that she's recommendations.
Thank you. Yeah. Member McVeigh.
Kia ora koutou. So, I hear the movement that, the motion that the chair put forward for basically the total amount of what's now called our Pride in Place putia, if I got that right. And I do understand that that is what Te Huku did. My understanding for the situation at Te Huku is they actually put that total amount into a plan and then leverage that working with, I guess, their business association or whatever their version's called, to leverage and apply for a significant amount of funding, which has basically kicked off the Te Huku revitalisation plan, and it's worked very well for them. I understand that. I hear that we're wanting to use this funding for tangible outcomes, which I also support, which is different than what Te Huku's done. I think what we need to be really clear of is that if we are putting $100,000 towards this place-making project, then every application that came today misses out. If I understand it rightly, then we're not going to be able to put any money into those placemaking applications for these smaller communities. So just to bear that in mind, including the ones that have put in applications today or spoke to them today. And I just, probably need to have a really clear idea so that if we are to put our total funds to Kaikohe, then I need to be able to have real confidence going back to Hokianga and say why we've chosen to do that. So I'm processing it, but I just wanted to make those points and encourage people to think of the implications before we decide. Kia ora.
Apologies. Catherine, have you got a response to that?
Well, I sent the wording up to, and Tammy's got her hand up, she might be the one.
Tammy.
It was, thank you, through the chair. If I could, sorry, just ask a question of Catherine, because it's something I saw in the LTP and I may not be understanding it correctly. Am I correctly understanding there is a $75,000 town beautification fund?
I don't know about that one because that's not my funding. It used to sit with, I think, Tanya Steen's team, but I'm not sure. I think Tanya Proctor dealt with it before. I don't know how much it is, I don't know where it is, and I don't know how it's allocated. I'm sorry. I can't help with that one.
Thank you. It's just something I noticed in the LTP and I wondered if that was, would address some of your concerns, Jessie, or an alternative way to fund some of the placemaking work for Kaikohe.
Well, more to the point of what Jessie was saying, and that is the coming up is there's a grant, there's a placemaking grant fund, and this one was called the.
Well.
Yeah, so is it going to affect with the application coming up? Is it coming out of the same bucket of money?
Well, it would be the same buckets, but
so private place is the same as placemaking.
Yeah. So the board would just choose which pot you want to take.
Okay, so I just want to call for an adjournment for 10 minutes, please. If we can just stop for 10 minutes, that would be great. Just have a bit of a breather.
Rebecca?
Yeah.
Can you confirm when the live stream is stopped, please?
that adjournment just gave us a little bit of time to think about the first recommendation of $100,000, and I think that perhaps a better option might be to recommend a $50,000 amount to be awarded from the Place of Pride Fund to implement priority outcomes identified in the Kaikohe Broadway placemaking plan.
Yeah, nice.
Councillor Usich, you okay with that change?
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, so we've got.
Please make sure that you do have in there that it is subject to coming back to you for approval once the consultation's taken place, because that way we make sure we've got a set wording to.
Okay, so that is subject to a report coming back to the board with the plan for works, including costings and timeframes to be confirmed by the board when the information has taken place. Thank you. All those in favour? Aye. Any against? Thank you, and no abstentions. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on now to page 27, our funding applications. So what I'll do here is I'll move a blank amount.
Unless we're happy to go with the recommendation.
Unless we're happy to go with the recommendation. Okay. Now I'm going to find what the recommendation is. I'm going to look at 2 pages at once. Oh, look at that. Here we go. All right. I'm going to move a blank amount for the first one.
Yep.
Unless anyone wants me to move the recommended amount. Am I allowed to ask that? I just broken a rule. Move blank amount. Okay. That the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board approve the sum of plus GST if applicable be paid from the board's placemaking grant fund account to Coast Cat Rescue for the costs of affordable cabin for sheltering rescue cats prior to rehoming. Do I have a mover for that recommendation? I will move that recommendation. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second if I'm allowed to online.
Sorry, Member McVeigh, you're not allowed to second.
Oh.
No. I think we are. It's just we're not part of a quorum, right? But we can participate.
Oh, where did you pop up from, Member Edmonds?
Been there all the time.
You've been sitting there waiting, eh? Thank you. Okay, so you can. Thank you, Member McVeigh. Is that correct?
Not part of the quorum, I think. Mike's got very good memory because he wrote the.
I write things too, but I don't remember them.
So, discussions. You want to do this for reasons and not excluded, or do you want to discuss that?
We can discuss, unless there's a reason to go into public excluded. Okay, so we have a mover and a seconder for that recommendation. Do we have any discussion? Any discussion? I'll just restate what I said this morning when the speaker was in the room. Just that my hesitation is that we're giving money to lovely animals. I know I have animals of my own, and I know how adorable they are, and they are parts of family and all that. I just have a hesitation when I see people and families and children in particular that don't have homes.
And that would be my hesitation in and around funding also. Unless there was a push really hard that FNZC and councillors and every aspect of their being put real hard effort into moving forward and dealing with the housing crisis that we have in our now.
Can I have something?
Yes, you've got your hand up, certainly, Mike.
Go, Mike.
Okay, so we're not giving away a home, right? We're giving away money. And the minute we start comparing homeless people with cats, or sorry, homeless people with other things in the community, then we've got to compare homeless people with speech competitions. We've got to compare homeless people with pipe organs, and I think it's a very slippery slope to be arguing against the provision of money to the cattery just because there are homeless people. So I'm going to go for the whole lot. I'm going to put $5,000 in, please.
Thanks, Member Edmonds. I definitely agree with your comments, but I was just speaking from my head.
So what amount do we want to put in there, really?
Can I call it all?
Oh, sorry, yes.
Yeah, sorry.
Jessie.
Of course you can.
Kia ora. I agree with Member Edmonds. I am involved in several housing projects. It is something very close to my heart that I'm working really hard on with others. But I agree with Member Edmonds that if we compare the housing crisis with anything that we give money away to, then it's probably the highest priority, and therefore all of our funding should go to that, which is not what we've been doing. And the other side of it, it isn't, for me, it's not just about that cats are important, but it's actually a problem that, you know, this is community pūtea, and members of our community have created this problem. It's not the cats' fault that they are an environmental issue and a health issue, or that they're not being cared for. So I see it as using some of that community fund to solve, in a small way, a problem that has been created by members of our community. I think that the proportion is the right amount of money to take responsibility. I think it's our responsibility to do better by animals and by our environment and around our own public health, which is what this project's about. So I support this, not because it's more important than homeless people by any means, but I also support Member Felia's move for calling for absolutely more support around dealing with our housing crisis. But with this fund, I support putting it towards dealing with this animal crisis. Kia ora.
Thank you. Just one question that I have in my head that just popped up was just about the location of the cabin. We didn't.
It's going to be in Kaikohe, where the main cattery area is. It is on private property, but by having it as a porter cabin, it means that it can be relocated because she rents. But the landlord is fine with that. She's got 2 hectares of land out there. At the moment, she has a sleep out and a double garage that's being used, as well as most of the kittens are out with fosterers. And the adult cats, which are the ones that would be going into this, are currently housed in falling down aviaries.
Okay, so where are we at with that? Who moved that? Me. Kevin McVeigh will second. Okay, so can we pop up? I don't have an amount.
I believe Member Edmonds moved 5K, if I got that right.
Oh, no, it's already been moved as blank, but he was saying 5K.
He was suggesting 5K. Is that right, Member Edmonds?
And
that's correct.
And if you and Jessie both agree.
And Jessie has. Okay, thank you. All those in, do I need to read it again? No. Sum of $5,000. All those in favour?
Aye.
Okay. Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. Okay, the next recommendation is that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board approve the sum of
$3,000. I'll go for that.
$3,000 be paid for. Sorry, I forgot I had that next to me. From the board's community grant fund account to Hokianga Country Music Festival, the cost towards the 2024 Hokianga Country Music Festival. I'll move that recommendation, seconded by Member McVeigh. Any discussion?
I support it. When you look at the amount of money they're putting in, work that's gone on to the report, it's great for the whole community staff.
Yes. Right. All those in favour? Aye. Any against? No, no abstentions, that's carried. Where's the next one? That the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board approves the sum of $889 plus just, if applicable, be paid from the board's community grant fund account to Hokianga Women's Group for the costs towards running the 2024 Kuhu Spring Show.
Yeah, I'll see you in this.
Thank you. Research, any discussion? No. All those in favour? Aye.
Aye.
Any against? And no abstentions, that's carried. Down to item number D, that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board approve the sum of $5,000 plus just, if applicable, be paid from the board's community grant fund account to Northland College for the costs towards running the 2024 Ngā Manu Kōrero competition. Moved by Member Ophelia, seconder for that. Thank you, Member Edwards. Have any discussion around that? Okay, all those in favour? Aye. Any against? Any abstentions? No, that is carried. The next recommendation is that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board approve the sum of $10,000 to be plus just, if applicable, be paid from the board's placemaking grant fund to Kaikohe Bowling Club for the installation of AstroTurf on the greens. I'll move that recommendation. Do I have a seconder?
Yeah.
Thank you, Member Gundry. Any discussion around that?
I think the presentation was great. There's a follow-up appeal. It's a big target that they're going. I think it's helping them through that. I do know the Kaikohe Bowling Club understand it's got an extra to it and it makes quite a difference.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Okay, all those in favour?
Hang on.
Aye. Any against? Any abstentions? And that recommendation is carried. Down to F, that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board approve the sum of $4,362 plus just, if applicable, be paid from the board's placemaking grant fund to St Mary's Church Committee for the restoration of the faith organ at St Mary's Church, Purupuhu. Thank you, Councillor Vucic. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Member McVeigh. Any discussion on that? No? Okay. All those in favour? Aye. Any against? Any abstentions? No. Okay.
Just can I, before we go to the next item, can I ask Member Edmonds, he's the chair of the Whānau Village, probably can't vote, but he may wish to comment because we've got no speaker. If we're happy with that, just leave it to Lila Day. Is my question.
Yeah, look, I've got a conflict of interest here, as you know, so I can't really speak to that. I think Kelly probably. I've spoken to Kelly, so I was expecting her to here today. So there must have been something wrong. I'll speak to her again. But as I say, me being the chair of the trust can't really say much.
No, unless invited to. So I mean, we leave it below the table. We don't pick it up.
Leave the Whānau Village. Okay.
Yeah. And through the chair, Kelly had said she would be in Auckland today, but was arranging someone else to come in. Whoever it was is not sure, so
okay,
it can be left alone.
All right, then we'll leave that one to mine then.
I don't think it was me.
No, it was not you, mate.
Okay, where are we up to? Okay.
That's it, really. Then go through members' reports. Reports.
Sorry, I was a little bit slow off the mark and I'd like to add on an additional couple of $1,000 for Ngā Manu Kōrero in terms of the revitalisation of leadership. I don't know if I can do that.
Yes, we'll just check with our gurus over here.
Northland College. We granted that will be granted them 5,000. They've asked for 14.
It's too late.
So through you, Madam Chair, there is provision in standing orders to revoke or alter a decision made earlier in a meeting. But it's generally if you receive fresh information or if something's been raised of concern, and then you can pass a resolution to revisit it if 75% of the members are in favour.
Okay. Have you received new information?
No, I haven't got the way to it.
Unfortunately, that does not count in this circumstance, but lovely thought. Okay. Moving on. Moving on to page 86 to funding, project funding reports. Okay, and we have two here. We have recommendation that Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board note the project was received from Coast to Coast Cat Rescue and Life Education Trust. I'll move that recommendation. I've seconder. Thank you, Councillor Busich. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Any abstentions? Okay, moving on to chairperson members' reports on page 92. Recommendation that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board note the July 2024 members' reports from Chair Chicky Rudkin and Deputy Chair Tanya Felia. I'll move that recommendation. I have a seconder for that. Thank you, Member McVeigh. All those in favour? Aye. Oops. I went too fast. Sorry, I'll retract. Do you have discussion around that? Do you have anything to highlight?
What, how, if we receive something on that just after clicking submit, do we have to wait for our next board meeting to raise it or mention that?
No, the staff can be provided advice that if there's new information that comes to end, why the decision needs to be readdressed, then you can.
Oh, this is you were going to add something to your written report?
Yeah, it was just some RFS that was left off. Should I save it?
Usually save it for the next one.
That's fine.
So, I just want to, okay, I don't think we need, I don't have anything that I wanted to raise, I don't think. Apart from, I just did want to, sorry, just go, there was a point that I made about medicine. Mr. Riley's mentioned many times about the apple tree. I've been down and had a look at the apple tree, and if there's quite a significant gap between that he's wanting us to kind of, just do for free or whatever the word is, I don't know. So
that's outside of the contract.
Yeah. So as cool as it is that we would like to do that for him, it is quite a considerable amount, and there could be able to cost the motu that people
that's right.
Yeah. So.
Madam Chair, can I just bring up an idea that since you mentioned Mr. Riley's name, he also talked about a proposed a pass action. And has that discussion been taken anywhere else?
Through the chair, that's been batted around for about 20 years. It's being led by Willie Ivey and the Mighty Family Trust. It's quite complicated, that one.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I asked.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll move to the recommendation. All those in favour? Aye. Any against? Any abstentions? That's carried. Moving on to information reports on page 100. The first one on 8.1 is the Hokianga Ferry Liaison Group meeting. The recommendation is that the Kaikohe Community Board receive the report Hokianga Ferry Liaison Group meeting 27th of March 2024. I'll move that recommendation. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Busich. GC, Member McVeigh, do you have any commentary on that?
Aroha mai, while I think both Member Gundry and myself are on that liaison group, they tend to have their meetings on days that I'm unavailable, so I have not been able to make the last meeting and I won't be able to make the next one. So I have read the reports. And
yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Kia ora.
Thank you. Okay, all those in favour? Aye. Any against? No abstentions. That is moved. The second information report on page 105, 8.2. The recommendation is that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board receive the report Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board July Open Resolution Report. I'll move that recommendation, and Member McVeigh is seconding that. Thank you. Do you have any commentary on that resolution report? Did you have something, Councillor Busich? No.
I'm just wondering why some of these can't be closed.
Which ones?
This the last one. Annual, the whole annual full information.
2022, 2023.
That's been for a while. But is that what been closed?
Second is the community halls.
No, I'm not sure. Second one on that list. What's the holder?
Are you talking about the report, the resolution from a couple of meetings ago? That resolution was brought up by Member Edmonds a couple of meetings ago, and so I've put the update there. We, and some background around that, and also that the request would need to be reviewed and considered further by Manager Democratic Services on her return from leave in the new financial year. So we have Aisha has returned. She's only just got her feet back in the door. So we have had a discussion about this recently. So I know that it is on her radar and she's going to progress something. We'll have a further update next meeting. Thank you.
Right, all those in favour? Aye. Any against? Any abstentions? No. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to staff too that are here with us today. I forgot to welcome you, so now I'm thanking you. So, yeah, thank you. Would somebody like to close our meeting, please? Please, right.
E te atoko tai mātu ki te mutunga o tēnei huihuinga I raro I o manaakitanga mai te timatatanga. Manaaki te oki. Tā hunga e nohana I raro I ngā pauritanga ngā mamaitanga o tēnei ao. Tōka rātou kia hikoi I raro I ngā māramatanga e ho mai nei e koe ka mātou. Tukuna e nei inoi kia koe, I runga I te ngua whāratama, tō mātou kai whakora. Āmene.
Amen.